So the police linked the defendant to the crime using fingerprints and DNA, which I'll explain in just a second. The defense is claiming that the fingerprints and DNA belonged there. That's essentially the night and day different theories of the case. The prosecution believed that the defendant stalked the women in the family, that he was watching them for several months, and then just picked an opportunity when the teenager was alone to attack her, chased her up the stairs where he raped and murdered her in the bathroom. The defense spent a lot of time pointing out that there are at least 6 unidentified fingerprints along the route of that attack, and the defendants were not found there. The defense pointed out that the police that there were several construction workers in the weeks and months leading up to the house, and that the police were able to rule out all of them, and that the defendants' fingerprints were the only ones that didn't belong, of course, except for these unidentified fingerprints. So the defense wants the jury to believe that the unidentified fingerprints belong to the real killer. The defense stopped short of saying that all those unidentified fingerprints matched each other, and the prosecution didn't bring it up either. So we really don't know what's going on with the fingerprints, other than that there are several that don't match the defendant. The defense attorney also pointed out that the fingerprint in the bathroom that matched the defendant was on the bathtub, where, if I understood correctly, that's where the girl was found, was in the bathtub, which also had water in it. Now, the defense also spent a lot of time discussing the fingerprint that was found in the bathroom, on the rim of the bathtub. The defense pointed out that there were no fingerprints matching anyone else found in the bathtub, in the bathroom, but we know that someone had used the bathtub because there was water in the bathtub. The deduction that the defense attorney wants the jury to believe is that somebody wiped those surfaces clean, but forgot to wipe the banister of the stairs and the fingerprints on one of the doors to the rooms that was along that route of the attack. The defendant his fingerprint was also found on a musical album in the living room, and the defense attorney wants the juries to conclude that that indicates that they were friends, that they were probably talking about music. This is where the case got really complicated. So a lot of this case has been based on circumstantial evidence, meaning situations, not necessarily physical evidence. The physical evidence itself, from what I could tell, wasn't contested. It was just, what does the physical evidence mean? Hence the adversarial system, 2 opposing truths of what evidence means. The prosecution, and I didn't see this, but judging from their conclusion, the prosecution put the family on the stand, and they talked about what, is it an orthodox, so the family in the 1980s was a very orthodox, strict home. The girl was not allowed to basically have any interaction with boys that was unsupervised. She had a job where she would walk to and from every day, but apparently other than that, she was always in the company of her family. The prosecution put the family up in front of the jury to say that, basically every aspect of her life was known. However, the defense presented at least 18 letters from an ex-boyfriend that the father had known about, but prohibited his daughter from seeing her. And in fact, apparently there was testimony that the father had told the daughter she can't go visit the boyfriend in another country because she'll come back with a baby. So this is where the trial turned into what I know a lot of people, I think, would immaturely conclude as putting the victim on the stand, but I don't really think that that's what happened. In fact, the defense attorney really spent a lot of time speaking what I think was truth, which is that this family didn't really know their daughter. There were several exchanges between the daughter and friends, but the friends were helping the daughter write the ex-boyfriend in another country. There was testimony at one point during cross-examination. It seems like perhaps one of the friends, and again, remember this is a 33-year-old murder case, one of the friends had indicated that there were other boyfriends possibly that she had been talking to. What does all this mean? Well, it adds credence, it pulls away from the prosecution's theory that the defendant didn't belong in the house. There was a lot of discrepancies about what time the victim left her family's store to go home, and so it looks like it could be a larger window. when she could have been attacked, signifying that perhaps she was having a rendezvous with the defendant. More to the point were the interviews with the defendant. The prosecution used against the defendant that he couldn't explain where he was the day of the murder. He couldn't explain, he couldn't remember what the victim looked like, even though apparently he had told them that he had had sex with her 10 or 12 times. The defense spent a lot of time pointing out this was 33 years ago. They didn't get. He's on trial now in 2016. How can you expect him to remember that? Regarding the fingerprint in the bathtub, there was a good moment where the defense attorney said, he speaking rhetorically to the jury, "What were you doing 33 years ago? Why did you touch a bathtub?" And then he said, "Maybe you were reaching for a towel," and then he busted out crime scene photographs showing a towel. The towel rack was apparently inside the bathtub. So, do I believe that? I have no idea, but it certainly seems like there's a lot of holes in the prosecution's theory. The article of clothing that apparently had the DNA on it, there's some dispute whether that even belonged to the victim and what it was doing there. I'm not sure what that's supposed to indicate, but it was a weird question. It was emotional. It was very tough to hear this guy, the defense attorney, go on and on and on about the victim. Apparently she kept a very detailed record of her periods,